Hello, everybody. My name is Roy Nemer. This is the Wrestleview.com SmackDown Post Show number 14. Lucky number 14. It's my favorite number. It's my lucky number. We're 14. And welcome to the Retro SmackDown, right? They've been building this up all week, the Retro SmackDown. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into all of that, into the Retro SmackDown stuff. But first off, I want to take a look at the chat. So I see Andrew in there. I see Quentin. I see Jamel. I see my good buddy Metallica, but my good buddy Rock. Hello, everyone. How are you guys? Andrew says 2 days in a row. It is 2 days in a row. So this is the SmackDown Post Show. We will discuss it all. We're going to talk about it all. And without further ado, so as you can tell, tonight's theme is retro, right? And I know I said without further ado, but forget that for a second. Let's take a look at this. So tonight's theme is retro. So you see this little like Matitude fact thing that we're doing, except it's the Royitude. So we're going to get some random Roy facts on the side. I'm just going to change up throughout the show. So the first one we have here is The Undertaker follows Roy on Twitter, which is true, actually. The Undertaker only follows, I think, 108 or 106 people on Twitter. I am one of those lucky ones. And growing up, absolutely loving The Undertaker, and The Undertaker is my favorite wrestler of all time. I'm happy about that. And Rock, there you go. So that's going to be the little, occurring theme throughout the show. So here we go. We got some new graphics going on. So Jamel says, I like Roy with the Matitude fact on the side. There you go, buddy. Rock as well. You did call it last week. And Andrew says, John Cena follows him. So there you go. Jamel, look how special I am. Hey, I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm lucky because we're all here together. I'm lucky because I'm with you guys tonight. That's why I'm very lucky. Before we get started, so Quentin, yes, before we get started, like and subscribe or you'll be dressing retro. You know what? I'll dress retro. Next week I'll grab some 80s or 90s shirt and I'll like do something with my hair and all that stuff. So we'll do something. And Gil's fan, 21st Century Wrestleview. Oof. Yeah, we spoke about that yesterday, right? And there you are. And before we get started, so Rock says his dog follows him everywhere. There you go, right? So first things first, the Retro SmackDown. Let's get into it, right? They've been hyping this up essentially all week, and what we got was, I don't know, what did you guys think of it? What did you guys think of the Retro SmackDown? Because I'm kind of like on the fence about it. I tweeted about it. I said we got, the original SmackDown logo, which was from 1999, mixed in with an old school WWE logo from the early 90s, with some graphics from the 80s, with the referees dressed in blue from like the 2002 to 2005, 2006 SmackDown. So it was kind of like all over the place. It was really all over the place. I was expecting the Fist, right? Or at least the original SmackDown set. Considering they're in the Thunderdome, they had some time to do it. Didn't work out. So that's not what we got at all. For those of you who missed it, I know Rock, you missed it, buddy. So I'm going to share over here what we have. So this was essentially it. This was like a CGI version of the Fist. So it was a CGI version of the SmackDown Fist that we got last week. Sorry, last week. I'm reading the comments. Sorry, this is the SmackDown Fist that we got tonight. It was CGI. So the stage itself, the set was very meh. Nothing out of the ordinary, very standard. It was just the Fist, and that's essentially what we got. Jamel says, I would have loved the Fist and the old school Beautiful People intro. That to me will always be Prime SmackDown. I was hoping for something like that, but I knew we were not going to get it the second the old school WWE logo showed up from the early 90s. When that showed up, that's when I knew, I'm like, oh, so we're really not getting like retro SmackDown. And then they had clips from The Rock, right? Welcome to SmackDown, all that stuff, his old school stuff. And then we got Pat McAfee and Michael Ross at ringside. And Michael Cole. What's wrong with me? Michael Cole at ringside. And Michael Cole's dressed in denim. And Pat McAfee's dressed up as like a 1993 Vince McMahon from Raw. And that's when you knew, this is not retro at all. And that's what we got, right? It's a huge miss for WWE, especially in the middle of their Finding Treasure series. That's what I was literally thinking. So I was gonna say AEW. A&E has this whole lost treasure thing with WWE, and they have their own warehouse. So they could have done something. And if you don't want to get the fist, get the original SmackDown set or something, anything. That's not what we got. And hey, we got Berserk in the chat as well. Hello, Berserker, buddy. How are you? Hope you're well. Andrew, it was all over the place. It definitely was. We're going to talk about Teddy Long. I'm a big Teddy Long fan. Absolutely loved him. And Quentin says, the retro SmackDown totally lost me. It needed to have the real fist or nothing at all. Exactly. And we didn't get it. And it's almost as if they knew. Because they're not dumb, right? Like WWE, they know that the fans love the fist. Right off, like from last week, everyone was talking about the SmackDown fist. And if they had the knowledge, like they knew what they were doing. So the fact that they had the CGI fist, they knew that the fans wanted that. And it could have, like, how could I put this? A little could really go a long way. Had they had the fist, it could have been so much fun, just added something to it. Instead, we didn't get it. That was cool, though. I did like the Michael Cole thing, really going back old school. Michael Cole should have had a Rock t-shirt over his head. Another miss. Was missing was the highlights in his old hair. Yeah, in his hair. Absolutely. Teddy Long, Lord Alfred Hayes. Yeah, with the Ico Pro as well. So, that was the retro SmackDown. Sorry, my hair's a mess tonight. I do apologize. So this was the retro SmackDown. It was the fist. It was literally this, pretty much. It was the fist. We did get Teddy Long, and this was literally me when Teddy Long came out. But as for the show itself, so the start of the show, right? The start of the show, it was a retro package, for SmackDown. We cut to the Thunderdome and all that stuff. And then we got a clip of the first ever main event, which was The Rock versus Triple H on August 26, 1999, with Michaels as the special referee or something like that. All right, that's cool. Cut to the show. Roman Reigns is on the show. The tribal chief, right? Acknowledge him. And he comes out. He's with Jay. He's with Heyman. He says, Daniel Bryan didn't want to be here, so I got rid of him. And instead, I replaced him by someone who wants to be here, someone who can acknowledge you and will acknowledge me. And then out comes Jimmy Uso. So Jimmy Uso, we haven't seen in over a year, is, well, not like kind of discounting the Hell in a Cell stuff, right? In October. But essentially hasn't been in action in about a year. Shows up and he's back, and kind of throws everyone for a loop, like, okay, because this was unexpected, right? This was really, really unexpected. We've been talking about it in the chat for a couple of weeks now, right? Probably since the start of the show, in terms of what are they going to do? Where's Jimmy Uso? Is Jimmy Uso going to come back? And ultimately, he does come back tonight, unannounced. So it was a surprise, which was cool. And out he comes. And then things turn sour pretty fast. All right. Things turn sour very fast. And we're going to get to that in a second. So out comes Jimmy. Essentially, before he could even say a word, out comes Cesaro, and he's defending his good friend Daniel Bryan, saying, what do you mean you replaced him? He's not replaceable. He could never be replaced. Seth Rollins attacks him from behind. Seth Rollins attacks Jimmy from behind, and they brawl, and then out comes Teddy Long, playa, holla holla. So Teddy Long comes out, and I was semi-expecting like a tag team match or something, right? Because it's Teddy Long. That's not what we got. We did not get that. We ended up getting a one-on-one match. However, the stipulation is Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. If Cesaro wins, he gets a championship match. He gets a Universal Championship match at Backlash. I refuse to call it WrestleMania Backlash. At Backlash against Roman Reigns. So the stakes are high. The stakes are very, very high from the get-go. We know what we're getting, and we know what we're getting right away. So this is it. This sets the tone for the rest of the show, right? It's essentially that sets the tone for the rest of the show. Now, let's take a look at the comments. So Gilspan says they finally remembered that there's another Uso. Absolutely. They finally did, right? After like months and months and months and months. Jamel says no appearance from Funaki, aka SmackDown's #1 announcer. That would have been cool. And this is what I don't necessarily understand. They said retro SmackDown. Aside from the referees wearing blue, there wasn't really anything retro about this, if you really think of it. Like, they could have done, and don't get me wrong, the referees wearing blue was a cool touch. It was a nice touch. But they could have had the wrestlers or the champions come out with the retro belts, right? Like the tag team belts from whatever, 1999 or 2004, whatever. Roman Reigns comes out maybe with the title from 10, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was. Have like a structured theme. This just felt more of a retro WWE show and not specifically a SmackDown show. And that's my problem. But anyways. We got Mashoon in the chat. Hello, buddy. How are you? I hope you're well. Hope you enjoyed the show. Guys, if it's your first time here, even if it's not the first time you're here, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. We're here a couple of times a week. It's only going to get better from here, guys. We have a lot of stuff going on. If you missed it, we were here yesterday as well. We did a surprise Wrestleview video on YouTube. We discussed a couple of stuff coming up on Wrestleview. So we do have a lot of cool stuff coming up very, very shortly. So once more, if you're here, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, guys. All right. So what did you guys think of the opening segment? What did you guys think of that? I'm taking a look at the chat. Andrew says, finally, Jimmy showed up. Rock says, that Shawn Michaels super kick on The Rock still has me sour 21 years later. And Gilsman says, I thought we'd have Cesaro Rollins as a misfit team. Could have been cool. Rock says, retro SmackDown has Teddy refereeing a match. Underrated ref. Well, we do get a couple more Teddy Long references throughout the show. And Jamel says, curious how the dynamic with Jimmy and Roman will play out. Jay had to be beaten into obedience by Roman. I don't think they'll just repeat the same story with Jimmy taking Jay's place. So we're definitely going to talk about that at the end of the show. Absolutely. And it is something I want to get into. Andrew's, retro WWF/E. Rock, we did talk about Jimmy returning. Retro, was this a good time? So this is a very good question, and I'm going to take this question. I'm going to answer it. I'm going to throw it back to you guys as well. Knowing that the retro thing was happening, was this a good time? Was this a good episode to bring Jimmy back? And, the question as well here is, would you have booked him to return during the main event? So that's a very good question. I would have maybe teased it, saying, in addition to the SmackDown or to SmackDown going retro, we have a special return, or Roman Reigns has a special surprise for everyone in store. Just something to kind of hype it up. Get people intrigued, right? Get people to tune in, because people are already going to tune in. Either get more people to tune in or wait, for next week or something. I personally would have teased it a little bit. I would have announced it, but at least teased it. I would not have said Jimmy's coming back. I would have said, the tribal chief Roman Reigns has something to announce, a big announcement to kick off SmackDown, right? Or has a big announcement during the show, and then they could tease it as the show goes along, or something, right? Or anything. Andrew says, I guess since Brian had left, they had to do something. Absolutely. And Jamel says they know they couldn't bring back one of the older belts because it would immediately outshine the over corporate titles they have now. I'm a big fan of, and this is my favorite title, but I'm a big fan of the Winged Eagle WWF or WWE title. Big fan of that. The classic old school tag team titles, a big fan. The Intercontinental title, wow. And I agree, Jamal. I absolutely agree, man. I fully agree. I would have definitely outshined anything they have going on. So My thoughts on the show, or my thoughts on the opening segment. Jimmy Uso's back in a Teddy Long appearance. It's a great start. Nostalgia is real tonight, so they really kicked it off with a bang. And also, we might get our Backlash main event, because if Cesaro gets the win versus Seth Rollins, he faces Roman Reigns at the pay-per-view for the Universal Championship. Holla, holla. And, so then we got the actual match itself, which was Cesaro getting the win against Seth Rollins. So that means Cesaro will face Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Championship at WrestleMania. No, I take that back. At Backlash. Boom. Period. He's going to face him at Backlash. It's what we're going to get. So good win by Cesaro. And if you missed it, because I know a couple of people missed it here. So if you missed it, the match that ended, so Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, and you had the Usos who were actually at ringside. And Seth, I want to say, kind of dominated this match. Like, if we're being honest, if you take a look back, Seth was mostly in charge throughout most of the match. It gets one commercial break, so we do go to a commercial break. We come back, and the ending essentially was this. The ending was the referee getting distracted, Jay trying to get involved, Seth Rollins pushing him away, telling him, I don't need your help. I want to do this on my own, right? I want to do this on my own. Referee still distracted. Jay grabs Seth. Seth pushes him away. Jimmy hits Seth with the super kick. Seth goes down. Cesaro knocks Jimmy down. Cesaro goes to the outside, throws Seth back in, hits him with the neutralizer. 1, 2, 3, gets the pin. And Cesaro is your number one contender for the WWE Universal Championship. Give me a sec. Just going to drink this. This is not, it's not alcohol. I say this every week. It's not alcohol. It's actually not even coffee. I figured since we're going retro, I'd change it up a little bit. This is actually tea. Very boring, very bland, I know, but it is tea. All right, so Cesaro is your number one contender for the WWE Universal Championship. And this is not the end, by the way. This is not the end of the Usos. This is not the end of Roman Reigns. It's not the end of that family for the rest of the night. We do see him throughout the rest of the night. Let's take a look at the chat as well. Let's go with this one at first. So Cesaro versus Roman will be a good spring feud for the title. I don't think Cesaro will win, but these matches are going to be fun. And I agree. I don't think Cesaro is necessarily going to win the title. I think it's just going to be something to keep it going until, probably like June, and then June, July, they'll start up another feud for SummerSlam, whatever that may be. In the long run, or it could be maybe Seth. I think they're slowly planting the seed for Seth Rollins against Roman Reigns for the summer. I think that's going to be their summer feud for SummerSlam or for SmackDown. Who knows? We'll see. Andrew, I have a hard time with my native language. That's one of those Roy facts, those Royitude facts. Yes, I do speak 4 languages. Rock, WrestleMania Backlash makes as much sense as its French translation. Contre-coup de WrestleMania. I'm with Roy. Keep it simple. Contre-coup. Yeah, Backlash, I guess in French is contre-coup. I believe it is. Yeah. No. Rock says, go back to your roots, Milk. That's an inside joke. We're not. We're not going to go there now. Not yet. Gills fan, one more language to catch up with Cesaro. I speak 4, understand 4.5-ish, kind of. I understand a bit of Portuguese, but not nearly as much to say I'm fluent. Jamal says, aside English, I'll guess that French, Spanish, and Arabic are the languages that Roy speaks. Yes, 500 points for Jamel. Fluent in French, fluent in Spanish, fluent in Arabic. And I speak good English. I think my English is, I think I'm fluent in English as well. And Andrew says, it's a rehash. So I guess essentially, if we do get Seth versus Roman, it will be a rehash going into the summer. But, and I will say this, and this is a big but, we haven't gotten Seth versus Rollins in a couple of years. To be fair, unless my memory is completely, failing me right now, we haven't gotten that in a while. Quentin, I speak only one language, food. So I speak 5 languages then, food as well. And Quentin, stop cursing. I apologize. I know it's, I've sinned. All right. So now here we go. So y'all want to go retro. Paul and Roy used to watch pay-per-views and he'd spoil them for me in the morning every Monday for years. Yeah. So that was about 20 years ago. Yeah. Well, I did used to spoil them every Monday night, every Monday morning. Sorry, I do remember. And Jamel, you were spot on, buddy. Absolutely spot on. And Andrew says, "Oh, WrestleMania rehash." Sorry, I thought you were talking about the feud we were gonna get between Seth and Roman. Jamel says, they never had a proper one-on-one feud between Roman and Seth that didn't just go for a pay-per-view like it did in 2016. That's true. And again, it feels like we haven't done it in a while, and a proper feud as well. Roman has obviously solidified himself as the guy on SmackDown. Seth, I think Seth will always be in that main event picture, but his character lately hasn't necessarily been the best, right? So they got to push Seth a little bit better if they're going to throw him in with Roman Reigns. Mashoon, good news, Roy. No Sasha on the show tonight. Yes, finally, again. This is what it's been since WrestleMania, right? It's been 3 weeks now. No Sasha Banks, so that's not too bad. That's absolutely not too bad. I'm not gonna go down that Sasha rant. All right, I'm absolutely not gonna go down on that Sasha rant. Jamel, Roman and Seth were first going to face off in 2014, the aftermath of the Shield, with Seth winning Money in the Bank, but Roman got hurt and he got delayed. Your memory's better than mine. Your memory's much better than mine. Andrew says, if you don't like, subscribe. We will force you to spend time with Sasha Banks. Ow. Oof. That one's rough. That one is rough. All right. So continuing forward. So it wasn't necessarily a bad match. At this point, going into Backlash, I feel like we might get Seth versus Jay. Maybe Seth Rollins versus Jey Uso going into Backlash. Or they might have the Usos go for the tag belts, but actually that's not going to happen because we have a tag title match at Backlash. So my guess is we're going to get Seth versus Jay probably at Backlash, and then maybe even going into Money in the Bank. Who knows? We'll see. We still got some way to go. All right. And sorry, so Rock says, a quick stream note, Roy, no lags this week and running smooth, carry on. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for letting me know. And Jamel says, Roman also never got his hands on Seth after Seth cashed in at WrestleMania and stole his Mania moment as he moved Seth to a feud with Orton, and then Ambrose and Roman did stuff with Bray Wyatt. Oh, that was, yeah, I remember that now. I remember that. Oh, boy. Anyways, all right. Moving forward, so we did get a commercial break, and then this is where I think they planted the seed, and I like the way they did this. I really do. So it starts off with Seth and Roman backstage, and Seth tells him, look, I know we got a history together, right? We got history together, but I want to know, who do I have, like, who am I supposed to be pissed off at right now? You or Jay? And, Roman tells him, look, I get your anger. I get that you're frustrated. I get all that. But the fact that you got involved means now I have to take care of my business, which is, defending my belt against Cesaro. And as for family, I'm going to take care of it. And then Seth told him, all right, you take care of your family, because if you don't, I will. So this is interesting. They definitely planted the seed for something, be it a feud between Seth and Roman down the line, or even Seth and Jay, right? And I think we're going to get much more of Seth and Jay next week. And actually, now that I think about it, that seed was planted a couple of weeks back in their tag title match, in their tag team match, where Seth completely walked away and left Jey Uso in the match alone, right? So we do get something there. Gills fan says, Roman should have mentioned Seth walking out on Jay recently. That's it, exactly. Now that you mentioned it, confirms what I just remembered. Seth might be how Jimmy gets pushed closer and strengthen the bond between Jimmy and Roman. It's a possibility. So that was the scene. Then we get a SmackDown clip from December 2001. So after the Invasion era, it's the supermarket fight between Steve Austin and Booker T, which, if I remember correctly, got a pretty high rating. I think that segment drew pretty good numbers. And then we got Teddy Long, who was backstage with Sonya Deville, and he tells her, Adam Pearce not here, so I got invited in, and this and that, and I was, I'm excited to work together. And in comes Sammy with his whole conspiracy theory stuff, and vintage Teddy Long, he tells him, look, you want a match, you're going to get a match tonight because you're going to go one-on-one with The Undertaker. And then Sammy tells him, what do you mean? He's retired, he's this, he's that. And he tells him, okay, well, you know what? We're going to get a tag team match. And it's going to be you and Apollo Crews up against Kevin Owens, Big E, and the Street Profits, and Shinsuke Nakamura. And then Sammy tells him, what? Like, whoa, what do you mean? What is this? This is like a 5-on-2. He tells him, no, it's going to be a 10-man tag. So you're going to team up with Apollo Crews, Otis, Chad Gable, and King Booker. And then, Sammy's confused, and Sonya tells him, no, it's not King Booker, it's King Corbin. And then, Teddy Long tells her, oh, that's what I said. That's what I said. And then he tries to get Sami Zayn to do his little, dance thing and all that stuff. So, yeah. And then we get a big scene, a big segment. Roman Reigns is backstage with the Usos, and he tells him, look, you've been here for an hour. I gave you an opportunity. You screwed it up. Look what happened. You messed it up. I have to clean up your mess. And then, Jimmy tells him, look, don't treat me like a baby. Like, don't treat me like a baby. I'm not going to do this. I'm nobody's bitch. I'm not my brother. I'm not this. I'm not that. And yikes. Yeah, that was something. That was absolutely something. And Jamal says, Teddy Long special. Holla, holla, holla. Andrew found it funny. And Gil's fan, Sammy trying to get Teddy to help him was perfect. Yeah, they're continuing with the Sami Zayn thing, and I'm curious as to where this is gonna go. I'm very, very curious in terms of what they're gonna do with Sami Zayn, because this has been going on for a couple of months now, and they're not letting it go. They're really pushing it, and they're continuing with it and all that stuff, and that's cool, that's fun. But what's it gonna be? What's this gonna lead to? Really, what is this going to lead to? Like, are we going to end up with Sammy on Raw eventually, and then maybe NXT or something? What's going to happen, right? What's going to happen? What are they going to do? All right. So after that, we got, if you guys missed it, you guys did not miss much. So it was Carmella who got the win versus Ruby Riott. Literally a 2-minute match at best. Nothing much to write home about. Carmella hits her with the Code of Silence. Ruby taps out, and Carmella's your winner. This is Carmella's first sighting in, I want to say, a couple of weeks. I think we saw her once after WrestleMania. And that was it. So this match will probably be forgotten come next week. They'll probably forgot it even happened or it even existed. But yeah, that was that. Andrew says all of them are off the milk carton. Yeah, essentially, right? Ruby Riott's back, Liv Morgan's on television, and Carmella's back on television. So that's 3 people back. I can't even speak anymore. Jesus, back on our television screens. All right, then we cut to a commercial break. We come back and we get clips from July 4, 2002, where it was Edge and Hulk Hogan winning the WWE Tag Team Championships. They defeated, I think it was Chuck and Billy, right? Chuck and Billy. So that's what they got. Gil's fan says, while the Riott Squad still exists, the burial of the only real women's team continues. And Jamal says, of the weekly wrestling shows, so Raw, NXT, AEW, Impact, and SmackDown, Roman and his storyline is far and away the most the most interesting top champion. And I would agree with that. I would agree. I don't think they're doing a particularly bad job on Raw with that. I know Raw as a whole is very, very difficult to sit through these days. I absolutely understand it. It's not the best show to sit through, but I feel like the main event scene is not that bad. Although, the triple threat between Lashley and McIntyre and Strowman. It's interesting. We'll see what happens, but that could easily go sour fast. Jamal says it's almost laughable how much more intriguing he is than Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega has 4 world title belts and 0 charisma. Should have 4 charismas and 0 titles. Yeah, and the thing is, if you really think of it, if you really, and I'm not going to turn this into a WWE, AEW stuff, because I'm the type of person where, look, if there's wrestling and I like it, I'll watch it. I don't care about the brand. I don't care about what it is. I'll watch it, and I'm not going to try to put one company down to put the other one up, right? I'm really not like that. I know some other people are, people on other websites or social media, whatever. I'm not like that. If it's something I like, I'll say it. I like it. The thing with Omega is he has 4 world title belts, right? But if you really think of it, how many of them are like, do you really take the Impact title seriously is my question. I don't. I like, if you're thinking about the top belts, like top tier belts in wrestling right now, Impact would not be high up on my list. AEW, sure. I guess at this point, AEW is bigger than Impact. I want to say it is, despite the fact that Impact's been around for nearly 20 years now, which is actually incredible if you really think about it. But, Omega holds 4 title belts, but how many of those 4 are actually relevant in North America? 1, maybe 2 at best. So I agree. Jamel says, I like Lashley, but the material he's given ain't good, and I'm still not sure what a Karrion Kross is. Oh, man. Yeah. That NXT, no. I'm not sold on Karrion Kross. Not a fan of his. One thing we did not get tonight. One thing, and I just remembered, I don't even know how. Actually, I kind of know how I got this. No, there was someone who we saw last week, and I want to say the week before. Aleister Black. No Aleister Black tonight. At all. There you go. Andrew just kind of beat me to it. So no Aleister Black tonight at all, actually. And yeah. Quentin says the Impact title is no longer relevant in the wrestling business. Jamel, Omega is maybe the 7th or 8th most interesting thing on Dynamite. I'd rather watch Darby, Hangman Page, Dark Order, and Britt Baker than him. Moxley and Kingston are carrying their feud. Anyways, not that I don't love the interaction. I absolutely do, and you guys know that, but I'm not going to spend too much time on AEW. That could be for a later date. I'm not going to give too much away, but it might be for a later date. Who knows? We'll see. But back onto the show. So we did get a Bayley and Bianca Belair segment. So Bayley comes out and she says, just because you're a superstar doesn't mean you're a great champion. And I would know this because I'm the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion. So I'm a great champion. I know what I'm talking about. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. And she says, let's talk about the previous women's champions, right? So she shows Alundra Blaze. And then they show Jacqueline and Lita and Trish Stratus and Ivory and Beth Phoenix and Molly Holly. And then finally, they show Bianca Belair. So they finally show Bianca Belair. And obviously, that's what we're getting to. That's the whole reason of this promo. And as Bayley's running down the list of women, the previous champions, obviously she's putting herself over and putting them down. She gets to Bianca. And she calls Bianca naive. She says, Bianca's naive. She's blind to the world, everything around her. If she doesn't watch out, she's going to end up like all the other women, which is not on Bayley's level. And, she says at Backlash, I'm going to beat Bianca. Out comes Bianca. And then essentially all you guys need to know is Bayley got the upper hand, took Bianca down, and just told her, look, listen to me. And that was it. So Bayley got the upper hand in this feud. I want to say Bayley got the upper hand in this feud for the first time in a long time. Because even when they were feuding at the start of the year or end of last year, start of this year, it was kind of always Bianca that was on top and winning and all that stuff. So it was cool to see Bayley actually get something, right? So that was cool to see. That was definitely cool to see. Take a look. Jamal says, speaking of how a champion is show, Bianca has made to look so much better as champ when compared to Rhea Ripley. And I agree, by the way, 1,000% I agree. And that's because just Raw is horribly written. It's bad. It's so bad. And even you get an interesting character like Rhea Ripley, you get it from NXT, you bring her over, and you're not doing a good job with her, right? Like, at all. And it makes you wonder, how is this, like, how are Raw and SmackDown under the same umbrella? How is this the same company? Because the main event scene on SmackDown is light years ahead of the main event scene on Raw. Same thing for the women's division, or at least the women's championship. Light years ahead of anything that's on Raw. And it sucks. It's so bad. It's so bad. Gil's fan says, I'm glad she didn't show Sasha. Man, me too. Trust me, the fact that we haven't gotten Sasha in a couple of weeks means no rambling Roy. No rambling Roy. And Gil's fan says, at least we know Bianca's a babyface. Rhea turns every week. There's no stability. That's the problem. There's no stability. And it was similar to Charlotte Flair when she came back, I think right after WrestleMania, the night right after, where it was like, okay, she's a babyface, and no, she's not. And then yes, she is. No, she's not. So it's kind of like they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Bayley will be a good first feud for Bianca. She has character stuff that is interesting and gives her something to bounce off of. Absolutely. And I agree. They've shown good chemistry together in the past, the start of the year. And I feel like they feed off of each other very well. Bayley has gotten a lot better on the mic. She's I'm not saying she's great as a promo, no, but definitely evolved, definitely very, very good. Or at least tolerable and very watchable. And Bianca is as charismatic as they come. And Bayley is, at this point, she's been on the main roster for 5-6 years now. So she's leading this feud as the veteran. She's leading this feud. And I'd rather have Bayley leading Bianca than, like a Tamina or Natalia or anyone like that. No disrespect to those women, but I just feel like Bayley knows or Bayley comes off better on camera, right, than the other two. Andrew says, Raw's a dumpster fire. He feels bad for Rhea, and Bayley got ruthless tonight. She did. And it was cool to see. It was definitely cool to see. Absolutely. All right. Then we got one more segment. Here we go. Let's take a look at this here. So Jamel says, heck, I even like the non-ending SmackDown women's tag feud of Shayna, Nia, Tamina, Natalia more than the non-ending women's tag feud of Shayna, Nia, Naomi, Lana. That's been going on for, I want to say, a year now, literally. I honestly want to say that's been going on for about a year, that feud. Anyways, so moving on, we get Jimmy and Jay that are backstage, right? So Jimmy and Jay are backstage, and Jimmy tells them, look, I do think you're Roman's bitch. What is this? What happened to you? You used to be us. Now, you're doing Roman's dirty work. You're the reason why he's champion. You're this, you're that. And he tells them, we need each other. If you want to talk about family, how about Roman Reigns as Universal Champion, Jimmy and Jay as SmackDown Tag Team Champions? That is representing the company. So that's what he tells them. And we didn't really get an answer. We did not get an answer at all there. Instead, we cut to a commercial break. We really cut to a commercial break there. So we didn't get anything regarding that. And that'll be interesting. That'll be very, very interesting to see what they do with that. Do they go with, Jimmy and Jay as tag team champions, but at the same time, Jimmy not siding with Roman? Because that would be very interesting. I would absolutely love to see something like that. I would love to see something like the Usos as tag champs, but Jimmy not seeing eye to eye with Roman. I feel like that could be a very, very good storyline on SmackDown. I don't know about you guys. I would love it. I would like to see it. Irshad P. Henry, Primetime Henry, says Vince is screwing his own company. He needs to let Triple H run it like he does NXT. They need to let anyone else run Raw, aside from whoever's running it right now, because it's SmackDown so much better. And even if you want to take a look at the announcing, Pat McAfee, he sounds like a natural out there. He really does. And I loved how there was even, like, he asked a question during the 10-man tag match. I don't know if you guys heard it, and I know I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but Pat asked, he's like, well, wait a minute, if someone gets pinned right now, does this match end? Even him, he's like, well, I'm a fan. I don't know what's going on. I'm reacting like you guys at home. Is this like first fall win? Like what's going on? So that was cool to see. Jamel says also Reginald is one of the most over people in the women's division. So that's something we're going to get to in a moment. Definitely something we're going to get to in a little bit. And Andrew says, like, he's only there for his brother. Exactly. Only as if, like, Jimmy was there for Jay only and not for Roman Reigns. So that'll be cool. Let's see what they do with that. Jamel says, I like that idea. Jimmy being a rogue Samoa while tag champ with Jay and still on shaking ground with Roman could be good to watch. It could be hell of interesting. Very, very freaking interesting to see what they do with that. If they do it, it could be a cool summer feud. It really could. It really, really could. Have them being like a 6-man tag where Jimmy and Roman don't see eye to eye and one costs the other the match or something. Like anything could be definitely fun to watch. Irshad P. Henry, Primetime Henry, so true. There you go, thumbs up, buddy. Gil's fan, title shot isn't in Vince's vocabulary yet. Pat can get away with saying it. Yeah, no longer title shot, right? It's championship opportunity, I think is what they're saying these days. I don't know. But yeah, it's Pat McAfee could get away with it. Andrew, always could lead to Jimmy versus Roman at some point. I think we do get it. And I think we get Jimmy versus Roman at one point before SummerSlam. So I think we probably get it around June, like beginning of July, right before whatever pay-per-view they're going to have in July leading up to SummerSlam in August. I think we probably get that feud on like a throwaway pay-per-view, like not one of the big 5, or big 4, where we get Jimmy versus Roman, and we'll see. Yeah, man, they got the business, the Hurt Business. They broke up the Hurt Business, which was arguably the best thing on Raw. It's just bad. It's really, really bad. Jamal says, I also don't want to lose main event Jay. Lots of intriguing stuff that could shape the summer. Absolutely. And it's crazy to think, if you would have told me a year ago, and I think all of us involved probably are thinking the same thing, but if you would have said a year ago that Jey Uso would be an integral part of SmackDown, I would have said, you're nuts. I would have said, you're absolutely nuts. There's no way. Yet here we are. Jey Uso is a pivotal part of the main event scene on SmackDown. He really is. He plays a big role. And I'm all for it. I'm absolutely all for it. Taking a look at the chat, Jamal says, or another idea, what if Jimmy is the match at WrestleMania? Sorry, I'm going to repeat this. Jamal says, or another idea, what if Jimmy is the match at SummerSlam and we get Seth going into fall and have their blow off at the Royal Rumble? That'll be interesting. That is something that's absolutely not a bad idea. It's actually a good idea. My only thing is, what do they give Roman up until SummerSlam? That's my question, because I feel like there's no way we get Cesaro up until end of June. I don't think we get him up until end of June, and then Jimmy in August for SummerSlam. But that's not a bad idea, actually. I'm liking, the more I think about it, Jamal, the more I like that idea, buddy. So Jimmy for SummerSlam and then Seth for the Rumble. That could be something, or at least Survivor Series or something. I could see that. Maybe have him up until Survivor Series. Roman retains. Seth wins the Rumble again. Or I don't know, right? There's a lot that could happen. Gil's fan says, also, why was Austin Theory's theme song playing during the Arnold Schwarzenegger video package? I must have missed that. I saw the video package, but I must have missed the song. Andrew says probably due to copyright. Jamel, we're all glad you don't recap Raw. Andrew, Roy would, Gil's fan, I didn't think of that. Andrew, Roy would have to get ugly curtains. Yes. And Jamel, it's crazy. A year ago, Jay was just a tag guy, and with his work with Roman, Kevin Owens, Cesaro, Edge, Nakamura has really elevated him. And it definitely has. It has. And I feel like this doesn't happen. I feel like we don't get main event Jay if the pandemic, unfortunately, if the pandemic doesn't hit. I think if there was no COVID, there was no pandemic, we absolutely would not have gotten main event Jay. Mostly, well, one main reason is we probably would not have gotten the tribal chief Roman Reigns, right? Because Roman disappeared at WrestleMania because of obviously like COVID and fear and everything. So if there wasn't COVID, Roman probably would never have went away, right? He probably would have won the title at WrestleMania, and who knows when or if we would have gotten the tribal chief Roman Reigns. Andrew, we forgot about Big E. Yeah, so Andrew says you got to squeeze in Big E at some point to take on Roman Reigns. Yeah, you do. You absolutely do. Did not think of that. Did not think of that. All right. Up next, we had Dominik Mysterio versus Dolph Ziggler. So initially, this was supposed to be Ray versus Dolph. But prior to the match, Dolph was literally just talking shit. He was telling Dominik, look, this is between me and your dad. Leave. Let the big boys handle this. Leave the men in the ring. You're just Rey Mysterio's kid. You have no legacy. You have no this. You have no that. You're just known as Rey Mysterio's son. Leave and this and that. And then Dominik ends up challenging him to a match. So Dominik challenges Dolph to a match. Dolph dominates. This is like a 4-minute match. Dolph just dominates, tries to humiliate Dominik, but Dominik ends up getting the roll-up pin. 1, 2, 3 gets the victory. So kind of like an upset, right? So Dolph dominates the whole match. Dominik gets the win, or the lucky win, whatever you want to call it. 1, 2, 3, and there you go. So a much-needed win for Dominik Mysterio. They're getting a title opportunity at Backlash. So it will be Ray and Dominik versus Dolph and Robert Roode at Backlash for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Who knows what's going to happen with that. So let's take a look at the chat here. Jamel, WWE rightly gets crapped on for not knowing or botching moving guys up the card, but we got to give them credit for showcasing how good Jey Uso is. Spot on with the point about COVID. Yeah, a lot of guys stepped it up. During COVID. McIntyre stepped it up. Jey Uso, obviously, Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley, like all the everyone you expect to step it up has stepped it up. Randy Orton is another one completely. So that was a lot of guys. Absolutely. And Gills fan says, we would not have gotten heel Roman without all of this. That's true. Most likely. Rock, the only thing that will make Raw better is Roy doing the after show, is what Roy Nemer fact should have read. We'll keep that for next week. I like that. I might steal it for next week. We'll see how it goes. Andrew says, no COVID. A lot of things would be different. Glad it wasn't the main event. Jamel, as shitty as COVID has been, there are some creative things that had to happen because of it. Absolutely. Andrew, Dolph is such an annoying jerk, but it works. Quentin, please like and subscribe, or else I'll hack into this stream and sing like Sasha. Guys, like and subscribe. We don't want this to happen. Oh my God. So make sure to subscribe, guys. Thank you for that, Quentin. Jamel, when we get the next Superstar Shakeup or draft, they have to shift Dom from Ray and over to NXT. Please give that kid some room to grow. Yeah, we've talked about this in the past, right? In the past couple of months on this show, they got to do something new with Dominik. I don't know if giving him the tag titles right now would be the best idea. I don't know if he's ready for it. I know obviously Ray's going to be there and everything, but I agree with you, Jamel. Throw him on NXT or throw him on. I think Raw would be suicide for him. I would definitely go more for NXT. I would throw Dominik on NXT and see what gives there, like a whole new start for that. All right. So Jamal says, guessing Dom and Ray win the tag belts will be a cute moment, but I stick by my point made earlier. And I agree, man. I'm the same thing. All right. Reginald versus Tamina. Yeah, you read that right. Reginald versus Tamina. So Kayla Braxton's backstage with Reginald, Shayna, and Nia. She asks him, well, why do you want to go up against Tamina? And he tells her, well, she left me with a sour taste in my mouth yesterday, this and that. And before leaving, Nia Jax calls Kayla a Hillary, so Hillary Banks from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, because that's who she was supposed to look like tonight, according to her Instagram page, according to Kayla's Instagram page. But anyways, enough about that. So Reginald against Tamina. This ends disqualification. Tamina gets the win after Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler get involved. I'll tell you what, though. I'll say this. Reginald is extremely acrobatic. Extremely acrobatic is Reginald. A couple of moonsaults or backflips and stuff like that. Reginald's getting more women's matches these days than Liv Morgan and Nikki Cross. I tweeted that during the show, and sadly, it's kind of true. He really does. He gets more women's matches these days than Liv Morgan and Nikki Cross. And he adds something to this women's feud, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Like, instead of constantly getting Nia versus Tamina, Tamina versus Shayna versus Natalya versus Nia. Like, they're throwing Reginald in there. He does add something, does change it up a little bit. And they did confirm this, and they mentioned it, and they made sure to mention this. They said next week we're getting the women's tag title belts on the line next week on SmackDown, not at Backlash. So they were very adamant on that. They said it's not at Backlash, it's next week on SmackDown. So yeah. And taking a look, so Jamel says WWE legend Tamina was on the first card for WWE's first pay-per-view, the Wrestling Classic, back in 1983. Andrew, so fun, years ago, people got mad because they advertised Nia versus Dean Ambrose, but it's okay for Reginald. Jamel, Reginald's like James Ellsworth, except not in real life. Creepy weirdo. Gills fan, Tamina's Talking Smack promo last week was atrocious. If you have to ask the fans, do you feel my passion? Then the answer is probably no. Yeah, they showed a bit of that, Gills fan. They absolutely showed a bit of that on the show tonight. And it reminded me a little bit about Peyton Royce. Reminded me of Peyton Royce's promo on Raw Talk, I believe is what it's called. But Peyton's promo was actually solid. She could actually cut a promo. And then 2 months later, they fire her. But anyways. So, Andrew, Reginald versus Bianca for the SmackDown Women's Belt at some point. Yeah, that'd be cool to watch as a joke. But actually, no, please don't book that. Please don't book that. All right. Then we got the 10-man tag match. So really quickly, we got Apollo Crews, King Corbin, the Alpha Academy, and Sami Zayn, along with Commander Aziz versus Big E, Street Profits, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Kevin Owens. This was your typical 10-man tag team match. Everyone got their spot in and this and that. And it's a Teddy Long special, essentially. And it ended with Apollo Crews, King Corbin, Alpha Academy, and Sami Zayn getting the win. So Corbin hits the end of days on Nakamura. 1, 2, 3. They get the win. They're victorious. They have no clue what they're doing with Corbin. No clue what they're doing with Nakamura. Sami Zayn's thing is just floating in the air. That's never going to end. Kevin Owens as well. They don't, come to think about it, they don't know what they're doing with a lot of these guys. They really don't. So Street Profits are kind of just there right now. Apollo Crews, Big E still a thing, but that's about it. Gills fan says Zayn is still eyeing the title. He is, but it kind of feels like, what are they going to do with it? Like, more specifically, and you are right, but I'm talking about more specifically the conspiracy theory thing. Like, is this going to end at Money in the Bank? Or are they going to do something there where he wins, but he doesn't win, or something like that? Like, what's the blow off to this? Because something's got to give. Something's got to give. And Jamal says SmackDown's mid-card needs shaking up. Absolutely. Andrew, Sammy tried to snatch the belt with Apollo and Mayor McCheese giving him an ill look. Nakamura should head back to NXT. See, my thing, Jamel, my thing with Nakamura is I feel, and I don't mean this in a bad way, no disrespect absolutely to anyone in NXT, just because it's a different brand and it's a completely different style. But I feel like if booked properly, Nakamura could be a solid addition on SmackDown. I really do think so. And having him on NXT, I feel like would be a waste of Nakamura's talents. That's what I think. Like, I think he could do well in NXT. Don't get me wrong. I think he could do really well in NXT. But I just don't feel like he's made for NXT anymore. I think like he could be a valuable asset to SmackDown or maybe even Raw, which God knows needs something. But they just don't know how to book him. They really don't. But who knows? Maybe sending him to NXT might do the trick, just like Dominik. Andrew probably get a cluster for the Intercontinental title. And Gillsfan says, we are building to the documentary. After that, I don't know. Yeah, that's it, man. Your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as good as mine. And then finally, acknowledge him. To close up SmackDown, so Roman Reigns was backstage, and he tells Heyman, go get him. Heyman tells him, which one, and he tells him, which one. Heyman tells him, all right. So he gets Jimmy. Roman's talking to Jimmy. He tells him, look, we're gonna end this like right now. I want an answer right now. And then we cut to a commercial break. So Jamal says he doesn't want him on Raw. I still kind of like Nakamura. Man, I like him. Keep him on SmackDown. Just do something with him. So we got to a commercial break. And we come back. Roman Reigns is already in the ring, which is surprising because I thought we'd get the Roman Reigns 5-minute entrance, but I guess there was 9 minutes by the time they came back from commercial. So Roman's in the ring with Jay and Heyman, and he says this is not how he thought tonight would go. And literally as he's talking, boom, out comes Jimmy Uso. So out comes Jimmy, and he asks Jay, look, where do you stand? Because when I was at home, when I was out injured, I saw you fight Roman in an I Quit match, and I ran out, and Roman put me in a guillotine, and you said you quit, and that was to save me, and you said you quit for me because you didn't want to see me get hurt. And then we see the clip from Hell in a Cell, and then like Roman just tells him, look, it's simple. Like this is what it's about. Well, me and your brother moved on. I'm not going backwards. I'm not going back and forth with you. Me and Jay moved on. And it's simple. Fall in line, stand with us, acknowledge me, or take your ass home. And then Roman, and this is like, it was a 2-minute promo, not even, but Roman's delivery on this was so good. Roman looks at Jimmy, and he tells him, look, if you leave or when you leave, you got to explain to your kids. You're going to be sitting at home watching SmackDown with your kids, and you're going to see the tribal chief. And you're going to see the Uso, and obviously alluding to Jay. So just great delivery by Roman. And, Jimmy walks away, and then Jay goes to get him. So those two are kind of at ringside towards the ramp. Cesaro attacks Roman from behind. Jay wants to go back into the ring. Jimmy holds him back, tells him, no, stay. Jay finally hits the ring. Cesaro knocks him out. And then, only when Cesaro's beating up on Jay, does Jimmy run to the ring. Only then does Jimmy run to the ring. Cesaro hits him with a neutralizer. He hits Jay with a neutralizer. He hits Roman with a neutralizer. And then SmackDown goes off the air. So that ending was kind of, it was an open ending, right? Because Jimmy doesn't side with Roman. Jimmy sides with Jay. Roman's getting hurt. Jimmy doesn't care. Jay's getting hurt. Jimmy does care. So it's an open ending, and definitely something we're going to get to next week. We're going to get more of next week. And let's take a look at the chat. So Jamal says, another thing with this Roman and Heyman relationship that is interesting is the specter of Brock Lesnar. Like if Heyman and Roman stay together, they almost have to bring Brock back for the match. That would be huge. Roman versus Brock, WrestleMania rematch. No Seth. And I'm not thinking I want this at WrestleMania, but like a rematch from WrestleMania 5 years ago now or 4 years ago, whatever it is, without the cashing in from Seth. That could be huge. It's huge, but it has to be in front of a crowd. And the other thing is, do people still want to see Lesnar? That's the other issue. Like, have we completely moved on from Lesnar? We don't want him anymore. We don't need him anymore. Or is he still enough of an attraction where we're like, well, that could be cool. And look, in theory, Jamal, that's a good idea. I just don't know how many people are still interested in seeing Lesnar. That's my only thing. So Gills fan says, I like Jimmy helping in the end, but not acknowledging Roman. Exactly. And that, again, this just adds to the dynamic of the feud. Bringing Jimmy back was a very good idea. Very, very good idea. So Andrew, yeah, exactly. And this was weird. And as I was typing this, Andrew, as I was typing the recap, I'm like, this doesn't really make sense, because Jimmy told Jay, he's like, well, when I was at home watching you in an I Quit match, but that's not how it works. You were not at home. You were backstage watching because you showed up on the show. So that was weird. That was weird. That's a good thing for next week. He just says, hey, I did it because Jay was in trouble. There you go. Absolutely. Jimmy is the Flash confirmed. From home all the way to where were they in October? I don't remember, but from home all the way to Florida, right? Yeah. Jamel, there are so many moving pieces surrounding this family. Will they move Naomi over to SmackDown, and will she perhaps get involved? Could we see Papa Uso, who's Rikishi, get involved? So this could be cool. This could be cool if they actually create like the whole bloodline thing where Naomi wins the women's title on SmackDown, and you bring Rikishi back for a week or two. It could be fun. It gives them some options. Absolutely gives them some options. And going back to the Lesnar comment, Jamal says Lesnar's music hits when the crowd is back. We'll get a massive pop. Yes, I think you're right on that. I think you're right. I think even those who maybe don't necessarily like or want to see Lesnar back, I think if you're in the crowd and you hear Lesnar's music as a surprise, you're going to pop. I think you're right on that. I absolutely think you're right on that. That could be cool. That could be cool. At least for a while. So this was SmackDown. Take a look, Andrew. I'm hoping the future, if he can still go, is Roman versus Rock to see who is a true head of the table, tribal chief. Man, I got my doubts on The Rock. I love the guy. I really, really like The Rock, but he's not believable for me in the ring. Like, let me rephrase that. A 50-something-year-old Rock, and no disrespect, because again, I love The Rock, but a 50-something-year-old Rock, and I think he's called it quits as well, right? Does not belong in a WWE ring. Not wrestling. Maybe show up, do a rock bottom or something, get a crowd, cool, get a reaction. Not as a full feud. That I can't really get behind, as much as I love The Rock. Jamal says, Heyman would do wonders as an advocate for Naomi. Also would be the first official Paul Heyman girl in WWE. If they could turn Naomi heel, oof. Because she has her crowd, right? She has her niche, and she does get a reaction. Heyman would do wonders as an advocate. All right. Sorry, just read that. Lesnar has made me pop, and I'm not his biggest fan. Yeah, Lesnar has that effect. Lesnar is one of those guys where, similar to John Cena, right? People can hate on John Cena all they want. People can hate on Lesnar all they want. The second you hear that, or whatever Cena's entrance music, the second you hear that, you're going to pop. Don't besmirch The Rock, Roy. Man, I love The Rock. I'm not. And speaking of, so Rock says, Rock is 49, not 50. Yeah. Okay, fine. All right. Rock also said he wants to return for a Roman match, so why not? Did he actually say that? Oof. See, if they were to do that, I feel like it's one step forward, two steps back. And I'm not comparing The Rock to Goldberg, absolutely not. But like, we've seen what happens when they keep bringing back these older guys. Just give it a break, Give it a break. Rock can still go in the ring, I think, right? He's in good shape and all that stuff. It's just, does Roman really need that rub? Is it worth the hassle? That's my question. Is it worth the hassle? Maybe it is, right? Maybe have Roman say, well, look, I defeated The Undertaker. I now defeated The Rock. I defeated everyone there is to beat. So it could work. Quentin, The Rock is not Roman Reigns. For it to truly be something special, Rock would need to take a lot of time off from filming to get into true ring shape for the Roman match, pretty much locking himself in the performance center to train. Yeah, because working out in the gym is one thing, but being ring ready and getting your body used to taking those bumps again is a whole other thing, right? So he would need some time off. Absolutely. I'd be okay for one-off Rock short feud. Look, as would I. I know I said what I said. I would still be down to see The Rock because it's nostalgia. It's The Rock. I'd still be down to see him for a short feud, as long as they don't do like a year-long feud. You know what I mean? That's my only thing. If you get The Rock back for a month or two, hey, that's cool. I'm all in. Not for a year. But look, I love The Rock, so probably when his music hits, I'll probably want him to be the champ again. So, yeah. Roman beating Rock solidifies him as a top heel across generational wrestling fans. Absolutely let it happen. But you know what? And I agree that this would be true. And I hate to harp on this. But if they really wanted to get this over, and it's something they don't talk about, and this is my problem, is Roman beat The Undertaker, right? At WrestleMania, and that was supposed to be Taker's last match and all that stuff, and obviously it wasn't. But Roman beat The Undertaker. That's not something they mention enough. Like, why is that not mentioned enough? Or even at all? You know what I mean? Like, yes, the streak was broken. Yes, Lesnar beat The Undertaker. Fine. But Taker only has 2 losses at WrestleMania. One's to Lesnar, and the other one is to Roman. Like, why not mention that? Why not throw that out there? Head of the table, this, that. I beat The Undertaker. They're not. And I fear, because it's WWE and they'll do something like this, where, yeah, they'll have Roman beat The Rock, and that's cool, and that's what should happen if that match ultimately does happen. You should have Roman beat The Rock. But are they actually going to stick to it? Like, are they going to mention, hey, this is Roman Reigns, the official tribal chief who beat The Rock? Or is it something they're just going to mention for a week and then completely forget about? That's my issue. If you're going to go on this where you get Rock versus Roman, I'll be invested. I'm all in, as long as it's done properly. And I'm talking about the aftermath as well. The aftermath has to be done properly. Because if the feud is good and the match is decent or good, whatever it is, that's cool. But the aftermath is not, then in my opinion, it would have been a waste. It would have been a waste. So let's take a look. That's my 2 cents. So for the record, before I get into the chat, for the record, I love The Rock. Would I love to see The Rock back? Sure, yes. If it's for a short feud and if it gets Roman over even more, absolutely. I'm all in. If it's done properly, absolutely. I grew up, I'm a Rock fan. I love The Rock. Follow him on social media, all that stuff. Seems like a cool guy. My whole thing is I just don't want him in a year-long storyline. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I don't want out of this feud is a year-long storyline. You have it for 3 months? Cool. 2 months? I'm in. Fully invested. Go all out. Boom. Do it. But I don't want a year-long thing. That's my whole thing. That's my whole thing. So before you guys kill me. So Jamal says, feud could work if they involve Rock's mom. Being the daughter of the High Chief could make for a special storyline. Ooh, that's interesting. Shits on The Rock, and The Rock wakes up and starts attacking the keyboard. Rock versus Roman for the title of Anoa Chief at Mania in Hollywood could also serve as an iconic, truly retirement match for Rock. You know what? Now that we're talking about it, fuck it, why not? This could be cool, especially the fact that next WrestleMania is in Texas. It's not Hollywood. It's not LA. Next one, it's not California. It's in Texas. So this might have to wait a year and a half, if that's the case. Roman being The Undertaker hurt Taker's legacy more because of his performance and throwing a bone to Roman to raise his game. That's likely why they don't talk about it. And Jamal essentially says the same thing. I know. And look, I'm a diehard Undertaker fan. I've seen the documentaries. I've seen the match. I know why, or I have an idea why they don't mention it. But at the same time, it would still be cool. You know, like they could just say, hey, I'm one of 2 guys to have beaten The Undertaker at WrestleMania. That's it. Like, just something. I'm not even saying I crushed The Undertaker at WrestleMania. I made him tap out. I got the 1, 2, 3. Nothing like that. But just say, I'm one of 2 guys that beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Like, add that to his list. Add that to his resume. Andrew says, well, Taker said he wished the streak would have been intact for Roman. Yeah. I'm not going to get in too much about The Undertaker because I could talk for hours and hours. I've always been on the fence about if Lesnar should have been the one to break the streak, or even if the streak should have been broken in the first place. But that's something for another time. That's something for another time, because this is something I could talk about for hours, and I know we could all talk about it for hours and hours. Jamal says, agreed, story and aftermath have to be done extraordinarily well, like classic style WWF story excellence. Exactly. If it's done properly, man, the aftermath is done properly, this could be one of the better feuds they've had probably in the past decade, if not more, if done properly. Mania after that is in LA. Yeah, so they would have like a year and a half to build up this Roman character and have him really be that monster. You got about a year and a half, yeah, almost 2 years for this feud to happen. Andrew says, yep, California is 2023. Think back to 2002, Taker made Flair look great. Roman playing that role couldn't carry Taker. So I know I said I'm not going to get into this, but fuck it, I will. So Taker said, if you guys watch it, yes, Andrew, thank you. So my friend, Mark Calloway, so my Twitter buddy, one of my Twitter followers, The Undertaker, said in the documentary and multiple times, my dear friend, Mark Calloway, said that, he wasn't ready. Physically, he was not ready at all for the match against Roman. He wasn't. And he said that on more than one occasion, that he wasn't ready. So I think you could have put anyone in that match instead of Roman. You probably still would not have gotten a decent match out of The Undertaker. As much as it pains me to say, would not have happened. Would not have happened, unfortunately. But what are you going to do? Jamel, Roy is friends with Taker and Victoria is buddies with Triple H. I was going to say I'll drink to that, but it's tea. It's not alcohol. Not tonight. But I'll drink to that. All right, so we kind of got... Actually, we didn't get sidetracked. This was a very, very interesting takeaway. Interesting topic here. So this was SmackDown. This was essentially SmackDown. What do you guys think? Let me know. What do you guys think? I'm taking a look at the tweets right now just to see what everyone voted. Let's take a look. So by the way, guys, if you guys are not yet following, make sure to follow us on Twitter. Make sure to follow us on Facebook as well. Let's take a look at les résultats, or the results in French. Let's take a look at the results here. Here we go. So if we take a look at this, 76.7% of you gave it a thumbs up, 23.3% a thumbs down. I think this was a thumbs up, to be honest with you. There wasn't too much out of this that, would necessarily have me vote a thumbs down. Was I a bit disappointed regarding the retro stuff? Absolutely. But it wasn't enough to completely hurt it. It was cool. It was weird because even the turnbuckle pads had the current WWE logo, didn't have the old ones. But, it was fun seeing Teddy Long and the referee wearing the blue shirts. And then you had the return of Jimmy Uso and all that stuff. So I can't give this a thumbs down. I truly can't. So we also got Bayley, Bayley coming back, or not coming back. Sorry. We got Bayley showing up, which was fun as well. It was very interesting. Carmella came back. So yeah. And Jamel says, we basically built a storyline for a Mania 2 years from now. That's what we do here. This is what we do on this SmackDown show. Yeah, it was cool. So Gil Spen, Jimmy's return was interesting, and Bayley's always fun. Thumbs up. There you go. Good to hear. Andrew, retro felt flat. SmackDown itself, thumbs up, and this show, thumbs up. Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. Quentin, like and subscribe, or else I'll make you acknowledge the name Roy Nemer. There you go. Absolutely. Thank you, Quentin. Andrew, again, it's 2 hours versus 3 hours. It's easy. It's easy to give the show a thumbs up when it's 2 hours and not an hour and a half of recap of the first hour of the show. Jamel, thumbs up for SmackDown, and Roy, thumbs up. Jamel, thumbs for SmackDown, and Roy, thumbs down for the lack of retro stuff. Okay, there you go. Okay, cool. So we got one thumbs up and one thumbs down from Jamel. Andrew, we'll make them go one-on-one with The Undertaker. And Quentin says, retro SmackDown, a retro man. Yeah, it was more of a poor attempt of a retro WWE than anything. Like it was more retro WWE than retro SmackDown itself, if we're being honest. So this is it. This is the end of the show, guys. Make sure to tune in on Monday for the Raw recap, the Raw post show with Mike and Victoria Tedesco. My name is Roy Nemer. I'm your Wrestleview.com SmackDown recapper. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Give us a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you guys are watching us on playback on YouTube, leave us a comment. Well, number one, thank you for watching us. And number two, like, subscribe, leave us a comment. What do you guys think of the show? What do you guys think of SmackDown in total? Let me know. Rock says time to watch SmackDown. Spin my thumbs. Everyone have a good weekend. Stay safe. Roy, hit up after the show. Yes, absolutely, buddy. Jamel, bye. Gil's fans, see you next week, everybody. Have a good one. Be safe, guys. Try and enjoy the weekend. Hopefully you guys enjoy Raw as well. So that's that. My name is Roy Nemer of Wrestleview.com. Thank you for joining, guys. Have a good one.